Another way to use text in motion is as a masking device. In other words, you can choose to put anything inside the text that you want. We looked earlier at an option in the inspector for text when we went to the style section for the face to fill the face with a texture. Now, and I recommended that you don't do that because there's a more flexible way, and that's what we're going to look at right now. So in this example, I have this text drive. Let me turn off the background image for a minute. We just have this white text drive. The font is called Goshen. It's kind of a little grungy bit of a font. And what I want to do is I want to put the car inside that text. I only want to see the car inside the text. Very, very easy to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to mask the image, the car, with the text. So with the image selected, I'm going to choose Object, Add Image Mask. The image mask in motion is one of the most powerful things you can use because you can put anything into it from anywhere. So I'll select it, and now I've got this image mask, and in fact in the heads-up display or the inspector, it has a well that's asking me for the source. What is it that I want to use to mask this image? Well, I want to use this text layer, so I'll drag it in here, and immediately the text masks that image. Now you've got a few options on how it masks. It masks by its alpha channel, by its luminance, and depending if the text has color, you probably want to choose alpha. Alpha is what we want to use in this case. Now that we've done that, if I select the text and move it around, I can choose what part of the car I want to reveal with the text. And of course I could also resize it. I'm going to Shift key and make it bigger so we can see more of the car. Make it even bigger. So I can choose exactly how to frame it, but then if I want to move both of them together, I can select the whole group, and that way the text moves with the content that we framed, and we can frame it exactly the way we want. So that's one option, a simple option of placing an image or graphic in text. And of course, the same basic principle would apply for a generator, for video, for any time that you want to put an object inside of text. Let's look at another example. So here I have another kind of grungy font. I guess I'm kind of a fan of some of these grungy fonts. And I'm going to use a different kind of mask to reveal this. I'm actually going to use a paint stroke to reveal this. So let's check this out. What I'm going to do is there's a paint stroke tool, but I don't really want to use a paint stroke tool. I actually just want to draw a line with the Bezier tool. So I'm going to click on the Bezier tool to select it. And I'm in this group here, and I'm going to click to add a simple line here and hit return. So I've got a line. To see what's going on, I'm going to turn off. I've got a background rectangle. This is just a simple shape I've used as a background here. I'll turn that off so we can see I've got this simple straight line. I'll select it. Now I want to change what we're using for this paint stroke. So what I'm going to do is there's a shape style pop-up menu here in the heads-up display. And this tutorial doesn't go deep into paint strokes. I have a whole separate tutorial dedicated to understanding paint strokes and masking actually in motion. But I'm going to go to the shape style, and I'm going to look for a specific shape style that I want to use. And it's called Ink Bleed. Here it is, Ink Bleed Heavy. So I'll select that. And now if I play, I get this kind of ink bleedy thing that comes onto the screen. It looks kind of like ink, although it doesn't look very good with these edges on here. So I'm going to make a few changes. First, I'm going to make it quite a bit wider. Then I'm going to change the color to black. And now let's turn our background back on so we can actually see it. And if I play it now, I've got a cool kind of bleeding on look to this ink kind of bleeding onto the page, like kind of being splattered onto the page. So I want to use that to reveal the text. I want to use it kind of as a way that the text appears in it. I don't want the ink to appear in the text. I want the ink to reveal the text. So what I'm going to do is not select the text itself, but the actual group that it's contained in, and I'm going to add an image mask here. So Object, Add Image Mask, and then we have a well. It's asking what do we want to use to mask this text, and I want to use this paint stroke. Now a little tip here, you don't even really need a heads-up display. Instead of dragging into this well here, I'll close the heads-up display, you can drag directly onto the image mask right here. So now if we play, we can see the text being revealed by the ink. which is kind of an interesting animation in and of itself. We don't actually see the ink at all. That's kind of interesting the way that works. But let's see how we could change it some more. When you add an object to a source of the image mask, that object gets turned off. So I'm going to turn it back on here. And I'm also going to press Command-Shift left bracket to move it down. Actually, that moves it to the bottom, adding the Shift key, the Command right bracket to move it up one. You could also just drag it. I just like to use the Command left and right bracket keys to move layers up and down. So now I've turned on the ink and I've moved it below the text. So now we actually see the ink at the same time that it's revealing the text. Just to make that clear, if I turn the ink off, we have an animation by itself that's interesting because it's being animated on by that ink. But if I turn the ink visibility back on, we get to see a little bit of both, where the ink seems to reveal something that wasn't there before. So another idea about how to use an image mask to reveal text.